Hello and welcome to Nami Nation by Kai's Korner Productions. I'm Jackie Hawk, and you can find me on social media at QuillfulWriter, and I'm always happy to chat. For everyone on the edge of their seat waiting for Mass Effect 5 to finally come out eventually, Michael Gamble at BioWare posted recently about a spike in the fandom. With the Mass Effect Legendary Edition included in the latest Steam Autumn sale, a lot of gamers are engaging with this franchise again. Because Gamble is taking the lead on the next Mass Effect game, he went to social media to recommend that everyone play Lair of the Shadow Broker before the next Mass Effect installment comes out. Based on what we know about this sequel, Liara T'Soni will be in it. That makes a lot of sense for playing the Mass Effect 2 DLC from 2010. The extra content gave players a chance to fight alongside Liara, who wasn't playable in the base game. I personally found this DLC to be just plain fun, but it does center on Liara, of course, so if you didn't much like her character, you might want to watch a playthrough. I won't spoil it for you, but this isn't the first time that BioWare has put some important plot information into a DLC. I'm not sure that I really like that habit, as I've mentioned in past episodes, but you have to hand it to them. They are consistent at least. An even longer legacy was celebrated recently with the 30th anniversary of PlayStation. The retro PS5 remote that resembles that original controller has already sold out once, although a few places do still carry them. Amazon offers this remote control at a daunting $170 on sale, despite the worker strikes they have going on just now. If you do place the order with them, you might want to expect it's not going to arrive on time. There was also a retro boot screen and some limited edition themes on the PS5 as well. It's unfortunately unlikely that the startup sounds and backgrounds will become a permanent feature, even though it was very popular on the PS4 to be able to adjust your theme for your own personal tastes. If nothing else, we can enjoy it while it lasts. Sony also released a montage from the company's history, and their website for the anniversary showcases several PlayStation milestones. Dedicated tabs for each console makes the trip down memory lane easy, whether you grew up with these consoles or you want to know the history behind more recent releases. Some modern games have also joined in on the fun, like Genshin Impact giving away 1,000 Primogems to celebrate the anniversary. Being barely older than the console myself, it's fun to see everything laid out for newer generations and older generations to connect over gaming. And there has been a lot of change. Just about every gamer is familiar with the console wars between Sony and Microsoft, or Xbox, and just last year, Microsoft raised the white flag, admitting that Sony had taken the lead. The big problem there for that particular company is that empires tend to fall, and Sony has a long way to go if that does come to pass. Xbox is planning to release a handheld option in the future, which is a bit more competitive than the idea of a PS6 for minor hardware and performance upgrades, especially with the threat of tariffs jacking up costs beyond what most gamers and families would be willing to pay. The previous executive from PlayStation America, Sean Layden, has pointed out that these spec upgrades are almost unnoticeable to most fans anyway. He's suggested that impressive games will set consoles apart rather than specs. In fairness, this is what Sony did to get the lead with the PS4, but with AI issues and ongoing union strikes, creating strong games is going to ask a lot from Sony. It does seem like they are willing to rise to this challenge and side with human talent overall. The good news, the current PlayStation co-CEO Herman Hulst is insistent on the value of human talent in game development. The less good news is that he does think AI games will see some demand. It's not a promise to not use AI, which has largely been subpar in regards to creating games. Oasis, for example, is just Minecraft but worse. Referring back to the AI poetry study from one of our previous episodes, the casual readers preferred AI-generated content because it required less effort to read. There aren't really comparable people who would dabble in video games like that, except for perhaps mobile games, because you already own the phone. Consoles are just too expensive to be indifferent to games if you get one. Because it's not the same audience, AI-driven games would likely be for people who aren't that into them. Like AI-generated poetry appeals to people who aren't that into poems. While the AI-generated poetry appeals to people who aren't that into poems, having AI-driven games for people who aren't that into gaming poses a much bigger issue. A new book of poems costs maybe $20. Games are $60 to $70 on consoles that are hundreds of dollars. There's a lot more to lose by catering to customers who aren't that interested at the expense of those who are. If Sony wants to stay in the lead, it needs to support the talented human beings that made their company popular in the first place. AI just isn't going to guarantee that they reach their 40th anniversary. We can stay hopeful because it does seem like they're moving in that direction, but it's something to keep an eye on as Sony continues to develop the plans it has for the future. While we're looking ahead, there has been wonderful news potentially just around the corner, with talk of a Critical Role video game. This D&D series got its start being shared on Twitch and YouTube as live sessions, and now it has several animated series, not to mention the books, comics, and spin-offs that have come out as well. There are even tabletop gaming systems. Laura Bailey from the team told Rolling Stone that they've all tossed around the idea of making a video game since they first played, possibly even before they went live. Travis Willingham said this has gone from discussions to planning over the past few years, and he's hoping to have an announcement ready for the 10th anniversary of Critical Role in 2025. Granted, the chaos in the gaming industry has stalled things somewhat as this smaller indie group tries to navigate that larger market. But plenty of indie teams have made it happen, and I'm confident that a group this capable and conscientious can make it happen too. In other exciting news, Keanu Reeves is going to feature in the Secret Level TV series. This anthology showcases 15 different stories from various games, and Armored Core fans have reason to be extra excited since he will be playing the nameless mercenary pilot acting as the main character. Reeves is both voicing the role and having the character modeled after him. He operates a mech called, naturally, the Armored Core. This story seems more closely focused on the character than it would be in the games, which feature global issues more than personal ones. Reeves' character works with an AI companion for comedic relief that balances the somber atmosphere of this universe. Not much is known otherwise after the 2 teasers that have been released so far, but it is a promising start. The narrative changes appear to suit shows better, taking that new medium into account while not losing sight of the original game fans, with mech combat and an emphasis on the pilots that control them. On a closing note of video game celebrities, Astarion's voice actor from Baldur's Gate 3 finally connected with the developing team behind the Fallout London mod. Neil Newbon reached out before he was recognized for that famous role, meaning he was left on red for years before they responded to him. He said in a recent interview with Jinx TV that he was just happy to be part of the project and didn't have any issues with the wait. If anything, it was a delight to be part of something just for the love of voice acting. He said that one of the issues with the recognition he got from Baldur's Gate 3 was that some companies or groups might think an award-winning celebrity could be too expensive. In his words, quote, "They think they can't afford you, which is nonsense," unquote. When all is said and done, his stance comes down to this, quote, "It's just nice to remind people that actually we're doing it for the craft," unquote. Stay up to date with gaming news by subscribing to our podcast, and for more entertainment content, you can check out the KKP YouTube channel. This is Jackie Hawk for Nami Nation, and I will see you next time.